guy because you're raising a batting cage, you're raising an indoor facility, you're taking ground balls off of, you know how to work in limited space.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, and I know I'm biased because I'm a Northwest guy, but I will take a Northwest guy over somebody from another area any day of the week because I just think they're tougher. I just think they're tougher guys.
I think that's one of the best things about baseball is it still is a way that you can really develop toughness and develop, loyalty and all those kinds of things that we want out of young men in particular.
Welcome to the Pacific Northwest Fungo Banter Podcast, where we highlight all of the great coaches of the Pacific Northwest. Now, here are your hosts, Eric Sorensen, Jason Jarrett, and Kelly Gow.
Gotta unmute myself. Well, we're back with another episode, and I'm very excited after this weekend. We all just spent in Ellensburg to have this guy on. Really excited. He said yes. We got Coach Alex Schuerman from Mount Spokane High School. Coach, welcome to the podcast.
Hey guys, thanks for having me, guys. What a fun night and a fun chance to just chat baseball. I love it.
We're extremely fired up, and because everybody in this call tonight was in Ellensburg this weekend. Have we recovered from the Washington State Baseball Coaches Association clinic?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Yeah.
I don't know. How about you, Kel? Yeah, you feel good? It's great. Good weekend. Good people. Good to see you all. All those listeners. Here we are. That's right. Marked as safe.
Maybe Eric's not recovered. I'm not sure what his angle is there. Huh?
I think I glitched out of that. Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
I don't think he has recovered, Alex. I think you're right.
My internet's slow. I'm slow. It's just a struggle today. It's just a struggle. Well, Coach, our first hard-hitting question we always ask, what's your favorite fungo?
Man, I first of all, disclaimer, I'm terrible at knowing brands of bats and things of that nature. My players actually make fun of me because I never remember which bat is which, but I have this blue fungo that's been with me for quite a long time. I think it might be a Rawlings, but I can't remember. How bad is that? It's been with me so long, but one of the reasons I love it is it's broken over time and it's cracked at the handle and splintered at the barrel, and yet I just keep taping it up and just keep rolling with it and making it work because it's like that dog you've had forever, right? You just got to keep it with you as long as you can. So
I love that. That is a great answer because it's so true with our fungos. And I know when I break mine, I'm like, this throws your day off when you lose your good fungo. Totally. Coach, talk us through your path in baseball. What through your playing days and what got you into coaching and where you are today.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a North Spokane guy through and through. Grew up, born and raised here in Spokane, Washington. Actually, Meade, Washington, just a little north of Spokane. So I was a player in high school at Meade High School as a Meade Panther. And then, as I joked, the umbilical cord stretched long enough to go to Whitworth College, which is about 5 miles away from Meade High School, if that. And I played baseball there for 4 years at Whitworth. And then I was extremely blessed to get an opportunity to student teach at Mount Spokane the fall that the building opened in 1997. And many of the teachers there were previous coaches or teachers of mine through the Meade School District. So they kind of lured me in and said, you'd be great. I know you want to coach. I know you want to teach. Why don't you get involved? We got involved. One of the coaches there, Dave Whitehead, the first baseball coach at Mount Spokane, got me involved with the Legion program that summer. Actually, the summer of 97 prior to student teaching. And I latched on and coached basketball and coached baseball. Got hired in the spring of 98. And I've been there ever since. And so it's been just a real kind of like fairy tale ride, if you will, going through my coaching ranks as a Mount Spokane Wildcat. Playing against my alma mater, Meade. The Meade Panthers are now my bitter rival, so to speak, since we're in the same school district, same division, same league, and fighting for playoff berths and things like that. But I've had, I don't know, I think I was born to be a coach. My elementary PE teacher, who was a longtime baseball coach, Keith Ward. Some of you might know Keith. He coached at Whitworth College for a long time. Anyway, he tells the story of me in 5th grade. I don't even remember it, but I was coaching third base during our kickball during PE class in 5th grade. And he said, I'm the only person that he's ever had in fifth grade coach third base during a kickball game. So my dad was a coach all grown up. He coached high school track and cross country. He was an athletic director. My mom was a college athlete. I've been very blessed with some great coaches along the way. I think it was just in the bloodlines to be a coach. So I love doing it. It's been a great gig. I always joke that you're gonna have to peel me out at Mount Spokane one of these days. So.
Coach, coming into Mount Spokane in the earlier years, you kind of covered this a little bit over the weekend. Actually, it was part of your topic, but you talked about those early years at Mount Spokane. You guys weren't really very good as you are now. I mean, you guys are probably one of the top schools in the Valley, and even throughout the state of Washington. But what were those key steps that needed for you to kind of take place with your program and maybe with your staff and your players, your development to get where you are today?
Yeah. No, we were real lean. The first year of our school, there were no seniors even in the building. We started with a freshman, sophomore, and junior class. So we were a little bit behind the 8 ball from the get-go in terms of just personnel, tradition. We had no culture really around athletics. So I saw it, from the get-go, I saw what we were doing in athletics to try to build, but we just weren't gaining a lot of ground. Even great efforts, it just wasn't getting there. And so when I got hired, I came in with the mentality that we're going to change the way we think about who we are. And I told him in the first meeting, I said, welcome to the best baseball program in the state of Washington. And whether that's true or not is not really the point. The point was that we were trying to instill a belief that we were going to be great, that we weren't going to settle for being just mediocre and being okay at things. And I really believe that mindset, that power of like how you think about who you are and what you're going to be, is the beginning. And then the truth of the matter is we're good because we got a lot of good players. We have coaches that are dedicated. We have families that are committed to what we do, and so because of that, we have a good system now. But we definitely had to become that. We had to build a program and not just coach year to year. I think that can be something that gets in the way of young coaches, is that they try to win today. And they try to prepare for tomorrow's game, and they can lose sight of the long picture, which is putting in the time in the summer, putting in the time in the winter, putting in the time in the fall, preparing your program for success at all levels, and just keeping that whole picture in mind. So to your point about like when I started my first year, 2004, we were coming off a 2-win season, and I told him, I said, I put up a picture of a Safeco because at the time the state title games were played at Safeco. And I said, that's where we're going. Like, that's what our mindset should be. Otherwise, why are we even playing? Why are we even here today if we're not trying to be the best we can be? So that was my mindset from the get-go. And I think it's stayed with me and carried through. And I think people would say that I'm a pretty confident dude, but not like cocky or arrogant. So we try to preach that.
It's kind of like the Mike McDonald way, when he came in with the Seattle Seahawks, coming in and say, okay, guys, we're playing in January, and then of course they get close last year, and then what do we see what happened last night? It was just pretty cool.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing stuff. Love it.
No, that's great. What were some of the biggest struggles? I think, you're walking in your 2-win season. Mm-hmm. You kind of say, hey, we're going to be, what kind of response you get out? Because I think too, sometimes coaches come in, they're excited about being that first year coach, and they're topping their guys up, and then adversity hits, right? Maybe the kids have that initial buy-in, or you just get kind of lack of commitment, and then you're kind of, that wind kind of comes out of your sail, and then you're kind of, you start rethinking everything that you just believed in leading up to the first day of the season.
Well, I think I was fortunate in the aspect that I came in with the kids knowing me. I'd been the JV coach for 3 years. I'd been the varsity assistant coach for 3 years, and I'd been the Legion coach for the first 6 years of the school. So, and we had some success in the Legion summers, and a couple of the years with the JV group, we had won. I think we won the JV title, if whatever that's worth. But my point was, like, they knew who I was, and so coming in, I think they knew that that's the kind of like, mantra I would carry, is that we're going to be good. Like, just expect to be good. So that was a real big benefit. And then we just got off to a really good start. We won a non-league game. We won our opening league game against, and in kind of crazy fashion, it was against the defending league champs. I think because of who we were and what we'd done, they didn't throw their ace, who was the returning all-league MVP, and they didn't throw him. And we got off to a little bit of a lead, 5-1. They bring him in the 6th inning, and our little freshman, who I didn't think would be with us, hits a 3-run triple first at bat against this kid. And so now we're up 8-1. And then he struck out the next 6 batters he faced, and he was just a dude. But we had a lead and we hung on. And so all of a sudden we win against a team that's, supposed to be the best in the league, maybe, or near the top. And we started believing. All of a sudden we win the next game. And then we play a Shadle team who was really good the year before. And they had a draftable kid, third baseman, went on to play college ball and have a real nice career. And we, I think we're the underdogs. And it's a 1-run game, and I bring in a kid to close, and he gets 2 outs in the 7th, and we win that game 3-2 or 4-3 or something like that. All of a sudden we're 3-0 in league, and it just laid the foundation for us to be successful that year. We ended up finishing 2nd, I think, in league, and we lost our first 2 playoff games to the North Central team that was the defending league champs, and to Shadle Park. Those were our 2 playoff losses, who we had beat the first week of the season. So it was a good reminder to us too that we're still pretty green, and we got to find a way to win those big playoff games. But we started out strong, which made immediate belief in what we were doing, and then we were able to just build off that. We actually, to your other question about adversity, we actually didn't face that much adversity that year. It was pretty remarkable. We were healthy. We had really good pitching, and we found some timely hits and got some wins.
That's great. Each team is a little bit different, right? I'm sure you've seen them, the highs, the lows. Got to coach a little bit more, got to lay back a little bit more this year. Like, maybe talk about your evolution as a coach. Like, I think as we're young, we want to crack the whip and be in there and do everything. But maybe how's your mindset changed for coaching high school baseball over the course of your tenure there?
Yeah, it's been a lot of different trial and error methods and things like that. I remember early I was pretty fiery, and I'm uber competitive, right? You hear that a lot from coaches, uber competitive, throw my cards when I lose the family card game. I just don't like losing. I have those negative aspects of my competitiveness within me. And I remember getting really mad at an infield practice one day before a game. We had a terrible infield. We've all been through that as a coach, right? You can't make a play. You're throwing the ball off the chain link, and it's like, what is going on? We look like we've never played this game before. And I got really mad. And then I had a coach wisely get in my ear later and say, "Hey, Coach Schuerman, how many runs did the other team get for your poor infield play?" And I was like, "Well, they didn't." "What do you mean none? They didn't get any runs." He's like, "Exactly. You're over focused on that. Yes, you want them to be clean and look good." He's like, "But rein it in, try to, corral it, get them back to focus, because the real money is when the lights are on, when the first pitch happens." And yeah, we want to be consistent. But anyway, it was a good reminder that I need to really temper some of that excitable anger, if you will, that passion that can be sometimes construed as negative and then bring us down. So I had to temper that a little bit early on. I've always been a talker. And so I've had to learn, and I'm not great at it still probably, but I've gotten better of letting them be the ones talking and try to be the ones that coach them on what we should talk about and how we should say things when the time's right. Because I want to control everything. I want to be a little bit of a micromanager that way, in terms of where we throw it, what we do with it, calling pitches, all of those little kind of a coach lead characteristics. But I've learned that when I can give the kids more power in those areas, it actually produces a better product. There's still times when I feel like it's wise for me to take control, but I've tried to balance that so it's not always me and always my voice.
That is such a great topic that I want to talk a little more about, but because I've had that same feeling with you at times. Like, man, I'm tired of hearing my own voice talking to these kids. And what are some of the things you do to switch that up? Because, and also with I think it's not to get two-part question here, but when you have that leadership skills, but it seems like every high school team is different from year to year. How are you managing that as well?
Man, that is a great question. I don't know if I have the best answer, because you hit it right, where every kid's different. Every team's a little different in terms of who's going to be your vocal leader. So I was a catcher. I always have a catcher slant to my thinking. So I want my catcher to be like me, loudmouth, gregarious, direct in traffic. And I've had catchers that do that. I've had catchers that do it well. I've had catchers that are loud, gregarious, and they're poor at it. They actually bring us down because they talk too much. Then I have some of my best catchers ever are my quietest people. So they're really skilled on the field, but they're not maybe skilled at their leadership, that they could actually exercise more leadership with their voice. So trying to like rein in the talkative ones at the right times, but encourage that skill that they have, increase the talkative nature of the ones that are quiet, that's the hardest thing I've learned. You can't get the quiet ones to talk very much. It's just not who they are. But then because I'm so catcher driven, I have to realize that maybe it's my first baseman this year. Maybe my first baseman is the guy that needs to lead us and direct some of that verbal traffic. So then I say, I'll say, hey, to my first baseman, like, hey, why don't you go visit the mound every now and then when you can see that the catcher needs a breather? Why don't you, or the pitcher, needs a breather, needs a little pick me up. You be the one. You take the initiative. I'm giving you that permission because I know that kids respond to that kid, or it might be the third baseman, or it might be the shortstop, right? So those are little things where I've tried to empower that one kid that I think is in the middle of the infield, in the middle of the action, but has the mind and the gift of the encouraging words to pick up that pitcher, especially. One thing that's really hard for me to let go of is calling pitches, because I was a catcher. I feel really good about my strategy. I'm the one that looks at the spray charts. I'm the one that looks at the previous at bats and what they've done on pitches. But giving my catcher, hey, you got this inning. I want to see you call it. I want to see what you do, and then let's talk about it afterwards. And if I really, really want something, I'm going to call it, and you don't get a choice at that moment. But until that moment, it's yours. So those are a few little things that I try to do. Again, no perfect science, but try and fail. Like you said this before in baseball, right? It's a game of failure, and it's true for coaching too. You got to try things, and if they fail, you try something different.
Coach, that's a really good point there. Kind of let at times letting your guy kind of take control, learning the process of calling his own game. But also that reverse side, right? Those conversations we talked about. The thrower on coming off the mound, connecting with the pitching coach. There's dialogue in the dugout when they're at bats. How often are you having those conversations with your catcher? And also in turn of that too, how often do you let him challenge you on some of your calls? Because sometimes, coaches are just like, it is what it is. And I called, fastball inside. That's what I wanted to do. Player, maybe a sophomore or junior coach, why didn't we throw a slider there? I mean, we had him, he's been struggling that all day. So how often do you have those conversations there in your dugout?
Yeah, those are my favorite conversations. Actually, my catcher and I tend to have a really good relationship with that. Just that dialogue. I'll be like, what are you seeing? I need to know what you're seeing. Summer ball's been great when I really let him have even more range. I feel like I get more controlling in school ball and less controlling in summer. And I just say, hey, why'd you go fastball right there? That guy looks silly on the slider. Why'd you go fastball there? I'm of the opinion sometimes of like, if he can't hit it, don't change it. Like just throw 8 of them in a row, whatever. But he'll if the good answer is there, if he's like, well, I felt like he was looking for it and he was kind of leaning out over the plate, I wanted to bust him in so I could set up slider next pitch. I'm like, okay, I love that answer because that tells me you're thinking about it. You weren't just trying to fool him. You weren't just, throwing down fingers and hoping it works. And that's one of my big teaches to young catchers is, we don't have to fool hitters. We can just beat hitters, right? So if it's 2-0 and he's looking fastball, who cares? Throw a fastball. Even good hitters are going to fail 6 out of 10 times on a good fastball. Just throw it. We don't have to trick hitters. That's one of my big talks with young catchers. But then secondly is have a plan. It's not just put down fingers and, let's try change up this time and see what works. Have a plan. So I love those conversations. We talk a lot about make sure we get beat with our best stuff. Like if your guy's got a really good fastball and an average changeup and the count's, 2-1, let's just throw the fastball or whatever. Like let's just see if we get beat it with our best. And if we do, we do. Tip your hat and move on because we still might be able to get a ground ball double play the next pitch. But walks, make them earn it. So those are great conversations, man. My favorite.
How's your communication with catchers? Like how do you kind of get mention having the quiet guy and if you're calling pitches, a lot of times like you're trying to get a lot of information from your catcher, right? Location. Yeah. Specifically, dugouts, it's really hard to see in and out. You can see up and down quite a bit, but how do you kind of communicate or solicit some feedback in game from a catcher that's do you have sign systems and things that you use for that?
Yeah, we have a little bit of a kind of a miniature system without trying to show the umpire up. But if the catcher gives me a fist, that means he thought it was there. He thought it was a good pitch. Then I can kind of build off of that either with my banter with the umpire or with my feelings of where the catcher's, hitting his spots or not. I mean, the pitcher, if he's hitting his spots or not, or if he doesn't give me a fist and I know it missed, or if I ask the ump, where's that at? Then I'm looking for my catcher to actually answer the question, stuff like that. But this might be a good question to throw back at you all because, I'm the old guy that likes to do the hands to the face signs and do different signals and stuff. But I've been considering doing the catcher comm so that I can have more in-game discussion. Hey, I think you should go visit right now. He seems to be getting rattled. Those kinds of little things. Hey, be aware of where your third baseman's located. Looks like he's keeps getting sucked in. Rather than me yelling out to the players on the field, which I'm, not afraid to do. But if maybe I could again give that catcher that leadership role through the catcher comm, I might try that this year. I've been debating. Do any of you guys use that?
Yeah. Jason, I'll go first. I absolutely love it because not even more than just calling pitches, because we did start calling. I've always been where you're at. Like I want to see this catcher and have the conversation and see what kind of game they can call. We did get the catcher's comm, and it was a game changer. Calling defenses, back picks, whatever you need. Go talk to the guy. Hey, was that there? And he just, they don't even know that you're questioning the umpire at that point in time. But I do believe there's a time and a place that you do need to have the verbal cue to make the umpire think about it a little bit. I have also found, to kind of correlate it back to what you were talking about, is that there's times the catcher knows, look, if we get into a pitch, I know that we either need to be an off speed or a fastball. I'll say, hey, what's it? Call his best pitch right here, because you're the one catching it. It's working the best today. I can't see it from here. And so I think that's opened up a little bit of accountability within the calling the pitch system. But I've enjoyed it for that aspect of all the other aspects of the game as well, calling defenses and just having a bigger open line of communication. As long as they remember to turn it on and plug it in. That's the key.
That's right. That's right. Well, Alex, for me, a lot like you, I caught a little bit in college and I like to be in control, and the thing is, before PitchCom, we implemented that here a couple of years ago. We were all touches, and then we went to the numbers and doing that kind of stuff, and then signaling back to us exactly where the pitch is and everything. But with that PitchCom, I'll tell you what, that became such a game changer for me, because in so many ways, there's more dialogue that I can have with him, as behind the dish in the game, than with fingers or numbers or touches and that kind of stuff. It's like we have that as a backup. Like, if PitchCom for whatever reason, coach, forgets to charge it, it goes dead. At least we go back to our decoy. It's like, I think Justice mentioned that, with at the clinic, that, sometimes they just go games without it. And we've done that same thing. We'll go back to, because I don't want to be in a state playoff game and all of a sudden PitchCom goes out, and then we're so dependent of it that we don't know how to call pitches, And so there's that aspect of saying, hey, go talk to your pitcher. We could call backdoor pitches. That's what I love about him. We have a guy right now, he's got a really live arm. I can tell him, like, hey, Hank, that kid has taken another half step, after receiving pitch, and you got him, get him. And we've thrown more guys out this last year on backdoor to first than we've had probably in the last 10 years or so, just all based on communication. The biggest thing you do have to remember, though, if that little plug, that button goes into that box, falls out, that mic will disconnect from the ear, and then everything that umpire hears is coming right out of his bag. So there has been games where I'll say something like, seriously, did he miss that? And the umpire looks at me and I'm like, and then the catcher's like shaking his head like, coach, no, we're good. Nah, great call, good call. So you definitely, those things happen, but it's a definitely game changer. And I'll tell every coach, man, you got to do it, just because the sheer communication that you can have. And for me, I'm not saying that I'm a micro control guy on the field, but man, I just feel like I can have so much more dialogue going on, and I don't have to make those consistent mound visits, throughout the game, or send my pitching coach out. I could just say, hey, go talk to him. And the other thing too, you just, hey, go out and tell him a joke. He just needs to think something differently. you know,
Yep.
or you just let your, you know, and or you say, hey, this is your guy. You got this guy. We've had him all day. You know what to throw him. Go. And I
Yep.
just sit there and watch, you know, and then I'll say, okay, I'm taking back over. You screwed up. No, but you know, it's a great tool, and I really see the advantages of having it. So it's a plus thing to have for sure.
No, that's great.
I think you think about too, like the conversations that you can have with the catcher. You talk about a catcher that's quiet or maybe doesn't necessarily understand the game as much. Like you can have full on dialogue of like, hey, we're gonna go fastball away here. I really see him leaking in. Like, I don't think you can cover that outer half. Like kids, we talk about it a lot, like how much they need the why nowadays, like why we're doing something. And if you can solicit buy-in of like your thought process in the moment, with a kid of why we're doing this and the reasons for it, you know, it's gonna be like, okay, he's gonna nod along now. Like, whereas sometimes we've seen all the videos in the past where, you know, coaches calling pitches, you see the catcher, not that like we'd ever approve this behavior from a catcher, you see the like shoulder shrug of like this move, and then it gets hit for a dinger, and catcher had it right the whole time. But you know, I think you can coach your catchers a lot in real time of what you're seeing and what you're trying to do, knowing that it's going to help them in the long run. You might not even need it in time because they're going to start thinking with you once they pick up on some of the reasons for doing things. But yeah, in college we had it pretty right away as soon as it became available and was allowed to be able to do it. And then it kind of progressed for, you know, what we're doing with it and how we're going to handle it. And we had pitch clock rules and things. So, you know, catchers could step out in front of home plate and call a signal for a bunt defense, or, you know, we could put a mock sign on just to give us some extra time to be able to think about what we're going to do or what we want to do with the situation. So there's a lot of behind the scenes things you can do with it as well. But again, I think it comes down to preference, and, you know, if the teaching can occur just as well without it, and allow guys to be able to think with you a little bit instead of being told what's going on the whole time. You know, I think there's two sides of the coin, but definitely in the pro column.
Okay.
I also think they enjoyed it when we practiced with it leading up to the games, and they were like,
Yeah.
they thought they were pretty cool, I think, with their security guard earphones.
That's funny. Yeah, they're used to having you know, AirPods or something in their ears, so it's probably real natural for them.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll have to give it the old try. I love it.
I think
It's almost like an audio of my brain, then, is what you're saying. They're going to get to hear what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you're, you know, Eric kind of mentions that. The first time we brought it out a few years ago, there is something about it. I don't know what kids think about, you know, when they get equipment on them. It's kind of like the Evo Shields, and we've talked about this on our shows, but it's just like, you guys, it's just a tool, you know, it's just going to help you. But then they feel like, oh yeah, I'm a Division I catcher now, or I'm a pro, you know, it's just like everything they see on TV, they're mimicking that, you know. It's like, I don't remember how many times, you know, like, not to get off sidetrack, but, you know, I watched the Bulls, you know, in the 90s play. And then of course I go out to my driveway and I'm like, I'm MJ on the fade, you know. No, it ain't going to happen today, but it's just what you see.
It is a fun little, when you're calling too, you got to pay attention to where the base coach is at and where you're at in the dugout, because I've seen guys get close, real close. And I'm like, I'll make a comment and they'll just slowly kind of walk away. I'm like, he was listening. Having a wristband to back up might not be a bad idea, actually.
You gotta throw in the deeks. Hey, catcher, don't listen to anything I say here.
Yeah.
Say it really loud. Fastball right down Broadway. 0-2 count. Slider.
I love the gamesmanship. Yep.
I mean, we talked a little bit off air just about kind of, you know, you classify yourself as a thinking man's coach and trying to be ahead of the game and a statistician, and you know, kind of some of those things. I think I would start with you know, with defensive play. You mentioned shifting and some of the things you do for that. So maybe talk on the front end, you know, prior to the game, what type of scouting you're doing, and feel free to divulge as much or as little as information as you want. And then in game, you know, what's your charting system look like? Is that done by you, an assistant coach, your players, for spray charts and things like that to know defensively where you're moving players around?
Yeah, I love this. This is probably one of my favorite topics. Is I love the game within the game, if you will, trying to get get that slight advantage on the defensive side of the ball. I'd say I'm primarily a pitching and defense kind of a coach in that regard. I'm going to try to hold you to 0 and figure if we can squeeze bunt one across or something, we'll beat you 1-0. But so first and foremost, I actually believe scouting is one of the most underused tools in the high school game. I think there's many, many high school coaches that think it's a waste of time, that it's overrated. I go to every high school game in our area that I can, if it doesn't conflict with something that we have scheduled. And so even to the point where I've missed a practice if I knew there was a game and I had my assistants run the practice, that's how valuable I think knowing your opponent is. I mean, I watch Walla Walla's games on their Walla Walla channel because we might play them in the playoffs. I watch the Richland Bombers TV channel. Like, I love the aspect of scouting. I think it's so fun. And I like to play little games with it too. I go to Prep, always has to play a Saturday game. So Brian Munhall and I are great friends. Gonzaga Prep, one of our big rivals in the league. They always have to play a Saturday game Easter weekend because they're not allowed to play on Good Friday. So every Saturday of Easter weekend, I'm at Gonzaga Prep watching a Gonzaga Prep baseball game, whoever they're playing. And I'll show up in my Washington Husky collared shirt, my Washington Husky hat, my radar gun. And I've had other coaches say, yeah, my kids think the Huskies are scouting today. So it's funny because they don't know. And so I love that. So any information I can write down, any information I can see. I always tell my players in the game, let your eyes talk. Like, your eyes have to tell you what's going on. So from a coach perspective, if I don't get to see that player, sure, I can look at, Game Changer or Max Preps or something that says they're hitting 481. But every 481 looks different, right? Every 481 is got different juice behind it, different angles to it, different locations or swing types. So I want to see it. I got to see it because some 481s are beatable, right? Some 481s you can get out. And some 481s you just pitch and hope he doesn't hit 481 against you, right? Because there's just certain guys that are that good. So I want to see it. So I go, I scout. I'm a big chart guy with pitch. I chart pitches. I'm in our dugout. I chart all of our pitches. So when I'm calling, I'm writing. I'm doing all of that at one time. Our assistant does all of our offensive charts. When we hit, he charts the counts that we see and what pitches we get and what counts. We keep track of like quality at bats and stuff like that. So he's doing all of that. When we get opponent information, the big thing we're trying to chart is where do they hit it most often and what pitches are they susceptible to and what pitches are they hitting. And so we try to get all that information ahead of time, but we don't divulge all that to the kids. We feel like that's a little bit of an overload for them. We keep that to ourselves. And then when I'm calling pitches, those are the conversations I'm having with both my pitcher and catcher. Hey, do you know why we went slider, fastball up there? Because he doesn't hit slider well. I wanted to show a different eye level with fastball up to maybe get a chase, but we're going right back to the slider if he doesn't chase it because that's the pitch he doesn't hit. So remember, every pitch has a purpose, not just it doesn't have to be a strike. So the scouting aspect allows me to set up those game plans for me to call pitches against hitters. And then defensively, and probably to a fault, like if I could say I overcoach somewhere, I probably overcoach defensive alignment. I probably move a kid every pitch to what I think's going to happen. And I just tell them up front, I go, guys, you gotta bear with me. I'm what I would consider myself a fast thinker. I'm always thinking. I don't know how to turn it off. I mean, I'm thinking at home about where to set the plate for dinner. Like, my mind is just, it's go, 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 which is a blessing and a curse for me as a coach, because I do think I gain advantages on information, but I also can sometimes overcoach. So I'm admitting a fault there. But my point would be, if I think I can get you in the right spot and have a 90% chance of getting the ball, I'll play the odds. Do they beat me sometimes? I can remember certain situations. Specifically, we shifted hard pull, righty goes 4-hole, and I'm just looking like an idiot to the crowd. Things like that. Another thing that I love to do, I probably lead the city in intentional walks every year because I'm not afraid to put a guy on to set up a double player to face a lesser hitter in my mind, or if I like the matchup better, I go for that. I go for that odds play, that percentage play. I'm kind of a calculated gambler, if you will. So to me, some of the obvious things we do in the outfield, we pinch gaps a lot. I think one of the early conferences I went to, might have been Pat Bailey, it might have been somebody else, threw up a stat about only 5% of balls hit down the lines or even caught or played. He's like, play your percentages, play the middle. So our outfielders traditionally pinch middle unless we move them. We're often off the line at third. We're often off the line at first. We just try to be rangy, play big that way. But yeah, if we know a guy struggles to go the other way, I'll put my second baseman on the other side of second. I'm not afraid of what that looks like. To me, it just makes sense. In my mind, it's the best odds. And sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. But I would say over the course of the year, I have many more situations where I can tell you that guy hit the ball right to where we were playing. And our coaching staff looked at each other and we said, that's what scouting does. That's what scouting does, because you put them in the right spot.
No, that's cool. Coach, do you guys use for your defense? Do you guys give index cards, and say code words or numbers or whatever it is?
One year we did kind of a miniature scouting report index card to the kids. As we got later in the year, we felt like it was valuable for some of the top opponents we were going to be playing. We don't do it on the regular. We just move guys and say, trust us. And then if they don't like it, because you can read body language, Kelly, to your point about like the catcher slumping over, you can see the shortstop going, why? Like, why are you moving me again? And then we say, what are you seeing? Why are you seeing something different than what we have 40 at bats on? We have 40 at bats on him going 6-hole. Why are you not liking us moving you? And then sometimes we just move guys because we think they work better one direction. I had a shortstop a couple years ago. He was amazing to his glove side, but he was really bad backhand. He just struggled with the footwork. So we would put him in the 6-hole more often and say, work to your glove side more. So little things like that are important to know your personnel. But in terms of the communication, we have a numbering system in the outfield, which I love. Sometimes I think kids don't love it, but we pretend you're on a cell phone. I think I got this from a clinic also. So our outfielders are always standing on the number 5. Do you guys all use this? We're standing on the number 5.
We did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the first number we give them is the number of steps we want you to take, and the second number is where you want to end up. So if you're on the 5, we say like 42. We want you to move 4 steps forward to the 2. So if you think about a cell phone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you're always on the 5. 8's right behind you, 2's right in front of you. So we just say like 42, and they move 4 steps to the 2, and 68, they move 6 straight, steps straight back. And then we have some special numbers that mean specific things, like 22 is just our press. Got to throw somebody out. So those are some little things we use for communication. But the note cards is wonderful, and I love it. Again, time to create them, and just worried about overloading the kid a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that phone system works. I never heard of it that way. I think that's genius. I think when we ran it, it was each number was 5 steps. So 5 was just straight up.
Yeah.
And if you went to a 2, you were 5 steps in. If you went to it's been a while. An 8, you'd be 5 steps back, right?
Yeah.
And then you'd have a lefty phone and you have a righty phone. So always generally playing slide op against the hitter.
Yeah.
To your lefty and righty, but you could still put you could go in a crazy shift, into a lefty with a right-handed hitter if you
felt that was the right thing.
Super the other way. But no, I like that. And I think anytime you can make it thinkable for players is helpful. And first day of fall ball, we'd take our outfield coach, and he was the king of this, Andy Forgione. And if you go down to Arizona this fall and see the best field ever, go down and check him out. He's at the Cubs complex down there.
Ooh,
so,
I love it. I'll have to do it.
But he'd go out and he'd take spray paint and he'd spray paint the numbers in the outfield for day one in the outfield play, so guys would know exactly what those positionings meant. And then would have note index cards and things. And I think in the college game it was a little different because you have all these service providers that are doing the spray charting for you, and 643 charts. Shout out to them. They did a lot of that work too, and be able to conceptualize it and find something that works for you, and you notice the trends and those type of things for it. But yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the game. I think we worry so much about being wrong that we forget about trying to what's right. Like trying to find the truth of something rather than the fear of failure. And it's the game. We talk about baseball. We're afraid of doing something with our players that might, be wrong and look stupid doing it. Right. But you got to take those risks at times. And I'm sure you mitigate it if you're not certain on things. And,
when you read swings, right? Because you read swings because one scouting day, you might have been watching these guys face, 87, and of course they're all oppo, and now you're throwing your 79 mile an hour thumber, and it's like, your scouting report might not hold true, But if you have a comparable guy on the mound, then your scouting report's probably going to hold true. So, you got to consider all those variables, which is fun. That's the fun part of it, right?
What's your numbering system like for the infield? Do you have a number system? Is it just moving guys?
We don't actually. We just point, 2 or something like that. We kind of do the old school. It's easier for us, it feels like, in the infield to get attention. Outfield feels so far away sometimes that the quick, hey, Randy, 42 seems easier than Randy, back this way. And we kind of do a little bit of that too, even if, because sometimes I'm not sure they hear me. So I'll kind of do the motion while I say the number 42, like, get in here, you're too deep or whatever. But
do you find you're straight up in the infield is slight pull generally?
I would say straight up in the infield is slight pull. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say off the lines, which is a little bit non-traditional. Unless we're no doubles, then we actually try to pinch those gaps more often, because it feels like there's way more balls, again, hit to the middle of the field than down the lines. Yeah, we're going to get beat sometimes, but we'll take our chances.
With your shifting, I guess, have you ever done anything off the wall? I know one time we did a 4-man outfield.
I got some great ones for you.
We did a 4-man infield and shift to pull side, and it's hard sometimes. We don't have enough information, but man, trying to see that kid hit the ball to right field when everything was just there and it worked out. Everybody's like, "You're nuts!" What's some of the things that you've done?
Okay, so one of my favorite things in the last 6 or 7 years probably is we play okay, so I had this epiphany one day. We lost a playoff game actually because we went no doubles for a guy, and then we didn't go no doubles for the next guy. He hit a double to get on second with 2 outs. The next guy hits a knock, and we lose by 1. And I was mad that I didn't stay no doubles with that other guy. So here's the epiphany. If we say no doubles, the ultimate point is we're willing to give up a single, right? We just don't want to give up a double. So I thought the best way to go no doubles is to put 4 guys in the outfield. Like, that's the best way to not give up a double.
Yeah.
So we routinely will pick a certain player or 2 throughout the league that we think is a double threat, and we will pull our third baseman and play 4 outfielders. So great story. Here's the best one. It's ever been beneficial to us in so many ways. Actually, there's 2 great stories, if you don't mind. So the first one that I love is we're playing Meade, who is our bitter rival, right? Our big in-school rival, in-district rival. And first inning, first game of the year at our place, their horse, 3-hitter lefty, comes up, 2 outs, nobody on. He's the starting pitcher of the day, and he's a left-handed hitter. Rakes, pull my third baseman. I'm like, if he drag bunts, that's a win. Like, I want him to drag bunt. It doesn't go out of the yard. So we pull our third baseman. We go 4 outfielders deep. He walks or something, nothing crazy. He pitches, comes out in the first inning, walks the first 2 guys, gives up 2. We end up beating him 3-1. But I could tell we just kind of rattled him a little bit by going 4 outfielders. But the very next day, because we play back-to-backs, so the very next day we're facing them again. Same thing. First inning, we go 4 outfielders, pull our third baseman. He bunts. Now, think this through. He's never bunted probably in his whole life. He's a 3-hitter that hits doubles and jacks. Bunts, and you could tell it wasn't comfortable. He bunts. I have my 4'6" kid on the mound who just flies. He runs over to third base line, picks up the bunt, throws him out at first. And we're just laughing in the dugout because we felt like we won. We won the chess match, right? Like, we got you to do something you're uncomfortable with, and you made an out. And then in the one game against Kennewick, Trent Sellers, you might know that name. He was a stud at Kennewick, went on to WSU and LC State. Such a good player. Just mashed, right? So it's late. It's extra innings, 9th inning. This is the game we lost. 9th inning, he's up with 1 out. We go no doubles. We pull my second baseman. I actually subbed an outfielder, a real outfielder, for my second baseman to go 4 outfielders deep, and I have no second baseman. And our center fielder, our true center fielder who could really go get it, was in dead left center. Sellers smashes one. I thought this is a home run. My center fielder, who's now standing in left center, warning track, skies at the wall, catches it above the wall, kids you not, robs a home run. So then the next kid is when I go regular. I put the second baseman back in, and the next kid, Tim Gee, hits a double in the right center gap. And I was so mad because I'm like, now we have 2 outs. Why didn't I just stay 4 outfielders? That would have been a single. We would have still probably been in the game. We lost that. We lost that inning. It was either the 9th or the 10th inning. Wow. But the 4 outfielder game, it's fun, and you can get creative with how you do it. And I got to tell one more story if you got it, because it was so fun for me. I geek out about this.
Let's go.
So I coached slow pitch softball in the fall also. So
Yes.
as we use fungos there too, I can fit this into this story, right? Fungo banter. All right.
That's right.
We play 4 outfielders in slow pitch automatically because there's a rover,
Mm.
right? But in slow pitch, you can't lead off. There's so many nuances of the game. I don't want to get too deep into that. But we actually pulled our first baseman with a runner on first and put 5 outfielders against University because they were loaded. And we had no first baseman because any ground ball to the infield, we'd throw to second anyway, and our pitcher could cover in time. And so we actually pulled our first baseman in slow pitch softball and went 5 outfielders. It was fantastic.
What happened?
Great. It was so great. It was like,
What happened? What was the result? The bat?
Well, their stud hitter who had like 13 jacks that year, she tries to go oppo and pops up to our pitcher. We were laughing.
Win. Yeah.
Like, just hit it.
Win.
Just hit. So we beat them that day. It was pretty fun. They won the state title that year, though. We couldn't get them in the semis. But so anyway, I love trying to think of new things to give us an advantage defensively. Alignment. One of the things we did, this is not really alignment, but hold patterns at second. It's become pretty popular. I got it from Pat Bailey 20 years ago. He sent me a packet of information how to do hold pattern. He said they did it George Fox. He said the year they won the national title, they didn't give up 1 third base stolen base. So I'm like, all right, we're doing it. Why can't we do that? So we do hold pattern, and we very rarely give up steals to third base. It's great. So little defensive tricks like that are amazing.
Well, I just think in general, just making an unusual, unexpected change like that can really razz a high school player. I mean, it's not something they commonly see. So now you're seeing, okay, for example, your third baseman's gone, second baseman's gone, or adding to the outfield, you're going, okay, all I got to do is got to poke it right through that spot, right? And so you're just trying to take a direct pitch, which a lot of high school players, I mean, there's a few of them can do that, but very rare. But the thing is, now their mind is spinning, and now they're thinking about the pitch that they're going to get. So it's just so many factors that play into that. It's that's great.
Mess with it. I think you'll find it's pretty fun.
Well,
For
just
those exact reasons.
And then the response from the coach too. I mean, to see his look like, okay, we got this. Yeah, let's do it, right? And they're confident that their guys. But then the players looking over, going, what? Like, oh man, that's cool.
How often do you practice this, right? Like,
well, we kind of base it off of the opponent. So if we know that there's, kind of a donkey that's going to hit big flies against us, then we practice it leading up to that. Like, what is this going to look like? Who's going to be the guy that vacates the infield to create the 4 outfielders? What alignment in the outfield do we want? So we know which guys where and who has authority or priority on certain balls. We definitely think ahead about certain players, and then the certain situation has to align too, right? So we can't very well pull the third baseman with a guy on second and nobody out. Yeah, because then they steal third and now we're in even more pickle or whatever. So we have to make sure the situation matches the desired strategy. But we definitely practice it when we know it's going to be a possibility in that game. And then sometimes we back off it too. We might try it once and we're like, it felt good going in, but now it doesn't feel good. We did it against Southridge one year in the playoffs, opening batter of the game. Hit a laser right at our left fielder that was really our second baseman, and it felt uncertain, so we backed off it, but
That's
where the feel combines with the analytics.
Yeah, there you go.
Baseball coacher. Yeah, the infield one, definitely something you have to practice quite a bit more. Like for us, our straight up was our opposite side infielder was on the parallel. So like unless we were playing oppo, the opposite side infield, like always playing up the middle. And it's amazing how many hits you take up the middle. Like you said in the outfield, like generally most balls are hitting the middle of the field, right? Whether the hard hit or softly hit, like that's just kind of where the action is. But when you start getting to pulling guys the other side of the bag, like now you got to start working on some different things. If runner at first and a ground ball to the third baseman and your second baseman's on the other side, like that's a completely different turn than he's used to being able to do. And luckily we have machines and fungos and a lot of different things to be able to practice that end of things. But I guess I would ask too, with the infield side of things, do you feel like you're more conservative with runners on base? And if so, like what bases are you more conservative with?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely more conservative that way. Again, just situationally, if there's 2 outs, then I'm a little more aggressive because I just got to get an out somewhere. less than 2 outs. I'm a little more conservative. Definitely want to keep double plays in order, that sort of thing. I don't want to disrupt hold pattern. So if someone is at second, we try to stay pretty traditional so that whichever guy is in charge of holding at that moment can do it effectively and normally, where they're not in some weird position for holding. So yeah, I would say overall, I'm way less aggressive in the infield on those things.
Yeah, and I would say that's the practice end of things, and I think we got to the point mentally, where it didn't really matter when you ran it because you knew it was going to work. You knew based on the numbers. We had video attached to the the spray plot, right? I could see the dot and see how it was hit. Was it hit hard? Was he trying to go the other way? Was that ball in the 4-hole from a right-handed hitter actually a fly out to the first baseman? Those type of things you could really be unsure of it. But if a hitter can't accomplish a task or is really going to be hard to accomplish a task, like why would you change your mindset just because the runner's on base out of fear of something that's going to happen, when in reality you might be giving up more by not doing it, right? And that's the toughest part with it, and getting pitchers on board is tenfold as hard with it. That was always the struggle. And granted, you had the video and things, and anytime you got some body language from a pitcher, it'd be an office meeting on Monday morning, and let's go over the tape. And we took away that one. I'll give you this one. Okay, he beat us there. We gave them that one.
Right.
But that buy-in is a little bit tough. But at the end of the day, like if you feel confident in something being able to work, it's hard for me personally, like, to shy away from that just because out of that fear of it not working out, knowing that it's going to work out more often than not.
Right. It's like I equate it to when you play blackjack. I like to double down on 11, right? Because I'm going to take the chance I'm going to get the 10, but sometimes I'm going to get that 4 and lose the hand and lose twice my money. But I play those odds, so I always equate it to those card playing aspects of probability.
Mm-hmm. And when you're playing blackjack, how is your percentage of odds? Is it pretty good?
Oh no, I don't know. I'd rather play poker. I have more control. Okay. Yeah, blackjack seems like there's a reason the house always wins those dang games. But I still play, right?
No, for sure. Coach, you kind of mentioned this at the clinic, and I love the story. For, of course, you have to share it for our listeners tonight, but the Delta Airlines story. But you kind of go into talking about how important are all the little details and how much they matter. So how important are those for you there at Mount Spokane?
Yeah. So it's just been a philosophy from the get-go. When I first got hired, I wrote up a big philosophical, like, what are we at Mount Spokane? And we talked about, I wrote in, all these little things, because I've just always been a believer. And I think I give my dad a lot of credit for that little things add up to big things. 100 pennies is $1. And it doesn't matter how you get those 100 pennies, one at a time, it's going to be a $1 bill at the end of the day. So in baseball, there's so many parallels to the little things that matter. And so, I love that aspect. So the story of the airlines was, they in 1987, I think it was American Airlines, removed one olive from every first class salad, and they saved $40,000 that year. So one olive doesn't seem like a big deal, and it isn't a big deal to that person eating the salad, but $40,000 is a big deal to that company. And so they did one little thing to make a killing. And so the message then to the players is, can we do one little thing really well that's going to make us a killing? Are we putting these deposits in the bank one at a time, one penny at a time, to make this huge deposit, this huge withdrawal at the end of the year? And so we chart it. We chart little things. And I think I mentioned at the clinic, and actually, when you replay the talk in your mind after you talk, like, dang, I wish I would have said this. I wanted to add this. You forget things. You get going fast. But the real key to the little things concept, I think, is that you get to be in charge of it. You create what you define as a little thing, and what's important to you in its little way to be big. I like I said, I still pick up pennies. I like it. I think that's a fun way to gain free money. And some people might think that's a waste of time to pick up a penny. I recycle aluminum cans because I think that's a good way to get cheap money, right? People are like, well, you spend more money driving down there. I'm like, no, I time it when I'm in the area. Like, I got a plan, whatever. So in the game of baseball, what are the little things that matter to you? I mentioned at the clinic, one of the ones we talked about is 2 outs in an inning. Baseball is the one game with no clock. Like, you could literally hit for an hour if your opponent can't get you out. There's no time limit on it. So If there's 2 outs, let's extend our inning. Let's try to keep our inning going. So that's a little thing. If we do it, I'm going to give you a chart for that. I'm going to give you a mark that says, nice job. We recognize what you did is good there. And the reverse of it is true on the mound. But the point is you can make your own. So a couple others that we do that I didn't mention, but like I hate it when a pitcher gets to 3-0 and you can just see like they're just done with that hitter. They're going to move on. So we call it a little thing. We're like, get a little thing done right here. So if you go 3-0 and you don't walk that guy, you get back in the count, you provide contact. We call that a little thing. We mark it. We check it off and we say, all right, we're giving you a point for that. It doesn't really matter in the game in the sense of like that check mark doesn't give us a run or decrease a run from the opponent. But it's a mindset of this game is weird in this way. This game can be fail, 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 succeed, 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 fail, succeed. And at the end of the day, if you can pile up enough successes, those little things are going to give you a victory. So backing up a runner, an errant throw as a base outfielder or whatever, taking an extra base on the bases, seeing 8 pitches in a bat. We call that a little thing, especially in our pitch count era. If you can see 8 pitches in 1 at bat, that's a little thing, man. You might strike out, but we're giving you a point because you battled and you gave us a chance to get to their pen, which is undoubtedly worse than their starter in the high school ranks. So trying to just, again, spin the game into a positive of what we can do little to be successful big. I love it. And I've kind of been built that way from my little kid days. My dad was that way as a coach. He was very, very mental focused on how you talk to yourself, how you prepare, what you say to yourself, what you see in your brain, those kinds of things. So I love all that.
That's good. I think about the show Seinfeld, when Kramer and Newman decided to take the bottles back to Michigan and they calculated he's telling Newman's like, we could get 5 cents per bottle. And Kramer's like, I've been there, done that, it's never going to, and then they figured out a method. And it's just like, just think about when you're sharing that whole story. That's great.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think, especially for high school kids and I see it a lot now too. And I don't know if it's a new thing or maybe just something that you realize it just, how kids don't want to look bad, how they don't want to fail, how they don't want to be in a position where people are looking at them. Right. And I think it's an era of being liked, right? You want to do things to be liked, say things to be liked. And baseball is like the absolute worst for that mindset, right? Like it's not going to work out. You're going to look really bad today at some capacity. Right. But if you can spin the process to it, just like you're talking about, like, okay, yes, the result was bad and I looked stupid when I swung at that, 3-2 slider. But if it took 10 pitches to get to that, like I accomplished a lot for that to happen. And I think we think about the end result and the result of the play, I'll take the flare over the line out to center field, right? Just because, it's a hit. It goes down as a positive in the book, but in reality, it wasn't a positive thing. It was a positive result with a failing process. So I think anytime you can spin the game that way and let guys know that they were performing positively, right? And it just didn't work out your way. And that's the game of baseball. Like that's the game of life, right? You can put in a lot of different things and if it doesn't work out, like you don't have control over the result, right? You have control over the process, how you think about it and all those things. So I'm sure that your players are very headstrong because of that mindset and you don't allow them to think in the negative aspect of the game for sure.
So, Coach, as we kind of shift into closing this thing out this evening, I kind of want to cover a little bit more on the aspect of the gamesmanship. So, being an analytical guy and playing into the analytics a little bit, and we all have our handy apps of Game Changer and Max Preps and those kind of things. And so, how much does that play into Mount Spokane baseball and how you coach and how you scout guys? I mean, I'm always on there looking to see what Eric's doing week after week, so anything we can do to get up on Kittitas. But, it's been a great thing to have for sure, right? Especially when we hit the postseason, you can always see who's locking out and who's not. And then, of course, the video coverage now. But then now, again, I mean, a lot of your games, a lot of the 3A, 4A games are live feed now, too. So you got, Atomic TVs doing all their games. So you can watch any game you want there. But, the technology has changed on the high school side a lot. I mean, I think college, you've had a lot of those opportunities for some time, but now that we're starting to see how much does that play into the way you prepare?
Well, yeah, I mean, what a great tool, man. Whoever invented Game Changer, wow, give them so much credit, man. That was brilliant, because I mean, I've been on the fan side of it as a parent, or an uncle, or where I get to watch my family's games through that, whether it be video or even just audio, and just hearing the automated whoosh as the pitch goes through. We all heard it, and then you're waiting for the ping or the strikeout or whatever happened, but the ability to follow the action is amazing. So from a scouting perspective, I'm a gold miner. Like, I love hounding through random Game Changers. Like, did they use Lewis and Clark, or did they use LC? What did they put down for their team name? Did they go by just Tigers, or by so you're trying to play that game a little bit to find information as much as you can. Did they block me? Is it open? Which teams do leave it open? And then there's the other extreme of that, where I'm super paranoid about Game Changer and what people can get from me and how they can gain an advantage from me. So it's not a huge secret in our league that I don't use Game Changer, air quotes, but I do use Game Changer, because they know that I disguise it. I'm fictitious. I find ways to not make it easy for you to find our team's information, even though I know a handful of coaches in our league may not even care. They're old school in the sense of, let's just go do our thing. We don't care about what you do. We're going to be good at what we do. And I respect that, man. I respect that approach wholeheartedly, because there is such a truth to that, where coach up my guys, get them to do what we do well, and it won't matter what our opponents are doing. But I'm paranoid about stats and numbers and those 1% advantages that you could gain. So again, that's probably the little thing philosophy in me, shining its ugly head or its positive head, whichever way you want to spin it, in terms of stats and Game Changer and what it can do positively, what it can do negatively. But I love the little things of it. So if there's one little thing I can get from it, I'm going to try to find it. If there's one little thing I don't have to give away, I'm not going to.
I just keep going back to where in the world's Carmen Sandiego Mount Spokane style.
Hey, that's it. Maybe that's what we'll be. Maybe we'll be the Carmen Sandiego
Man,
Cougars or something this year.
Well, you can't do it now. You're on air.
Yeah.
live.
Distractor. You know how many people are going to search Carmen Sandiego and try to find it?
I'll probably search that one. Yeah, I kind of want to jump on the train. I'm going to email you. Hey, I think I found you. I think I found where you guys
there
are.
you go. There you go. How about that? I'll
I'll
kick in something towards you guys if you find me this year.
There you go. Oh, that's so awesome. Coach, I'm so glad we waited to have you on till like a couple weeks before the season, because I'm so fired up with everything that we've talked about tonight. And we are how many days, Jason? I know you got the countdown on your phone.
Yeah, we're exactly 3 weeks from today being our first time on our own fields.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was like sunny, clear, and 60 degrees today.
Were you guys 60 down there? Yeah, that's what I'm always so jealous of the Tri-Cities, man.
Yep. So are you coming down, Alex, for any games early season?
Yeah, we're doing a double at Richland on Saturday the 14th. We play Woodinville first and then Richland. And then okay. I think I got Grant coming up to our place this year for once.
No way.
As long as the weather
really?
holds. We got the Bombers in Spokane for once, which will be fun. I think he's excited to travel too, because everyone comes to him. It's easy. And I know he likes that too. But there's something to be said about getting on a bus and being with your team, and that's fun, some of the fun of high school baseball, especially preseason, right? You guys probably do a lot of bus travel for league. Like, is your league pretty spread out?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's small school Eastern Washington baseball that we put our miles in. I guess is definitely the way to say that.
I figured you did. Yeah.
When Cleolum joined our league, what's that, Jason?
I was saying you probably do more than I do because where our location is. I mean, you're way up north. So
when Cleolum joined our league, I was like, 40 minutes. Let's go. That's our closest trip. I'll be home in a decent hour tonight, honey.
That's great. You need some close ones. Holy cow.
Oh yeah, that's
cool.
Okay, well, what are we most looking forward to in the 2026 season?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I don't know. Every year's new, right? You got those nervous jitters every year. I'm just excited to get going and see where we stack up. I think we could be really good. Our league's tough. We got 4 or 5 really top caliber type teams that I think could qualify for state with whatever berths we have this year. I can't remember if we get 2 or 3, but it's always a grind. We got to go through the Tri-Cities for that combined berth, you know, Kennewick and Southridge and Walla Walla and Hermiston. It's a lot of respect to those guys and the gauntlet that this year holds, but I love that challenge, you know. One of the phrases I grew up saying that I picked up from my longtime basketball coach is that, you know, and you've heard it before, it's not a new phrase, but we respect everyone, but we fear no one. And I always tell our guys, I don't care if the New York Yankees walk in. I'll say, let's play 7 innings. And the silly thing is, I think we can win. Like, I actually think we can win. I always joke with them. I might not use this one anymore because I'm 50 and I'm old. I can't even hardly move. But I've always said, if LeBron James walked into our school as a guest speaker, I'd ask him if he'd want to play one-on-one. And I just, in my weird brain, I'm like, what if I get hot? What if I make like 7 threes in a row? I might beat him. Like, so the respect, everyone, fear no one, excitement of every year is like, yeah, we can win this thing. This could be our year. Let's go do it. Let's see what happens. And I love competition. And yeah, I'm a 12-year-old boy that gets to wear baseball pants to practice every day and feel like I'm a kid again. So pretty exciting.
That's so awesome. Coach, thank you so much. Stick around here for the after hours chat, but thank you so much for taking time tonight to come on the podcast. We are beyond excited that you were able to come on tonight.
Well, thanks for having me. What a blessing. I could, like I said, hours went fast. I could talk baseball all night. I'll probably be up late just letting my mind race because it's so fun to talk baseball. So thanks so much, guys. Keep it going, man. This is awesome that you guys do this.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.